in Kansas anymore.
You have my curiosity.
Are you telling me you built a time machine?
The Force may be with you. Assemble.
Welcome back to Get Real, the podcast where we get real about all of your favourite pop culture movies and TV shows. My name is Sam, and with me, as always, every week, is my elusive cameo co-host, Chris.
Oh, elusive cameo.
Ooh, some would say there is an elusive cameo in what we're going to talk about, but spoilers for this week's episode, which is episode 55, which is our wrap-up of Mandalorian Season 2. We're going to do a big wrap-up and talk all about that last episode, which has been going off. It's been going off, hasn't it?
That was a doozy of an episode.
Oh, yeah. Everyone, I think everyone that I've seen or spoke to or that even knows that this was a thing is like, yeah, that episode was really good.
Yeah, everyone loved it. Like, they nailed the landing. Absolutely nailed it.
And
I love the way that this is almost our anniversary episode, and our first episode was, or was it our second episode was about The Mandalorian?
The second episode was about The Mandalorian. Our first episode was about the Rise of Skywalker. So it's a full circle. It's all Star Wars up in here. It's all Star Wars.
Always has been.
Would you be the one keeping the gun to my head, or would I be the one with the gun to your head?
I think it's just it's our podcast, and then the guy behind it is holding a gun to its head, and like the guy in front is like, it's just a Star Wars podcast, and then we're behind him like, always has been.
What? Oh my god, that is a meme that needs to be created. Like,
it is.
I need to. You need to get your meme making skills going, mate, and put that.
I could do it in 2 minutes while we record.
You know what? That is spoilers for our social post, but that's going to be our 1 year social post.
Wait, it's secretly a Star Wars podcast? Always has been.
Anyway, we got to get this rolling, haven't we? So, what have you been watching over the last week or so, mate?
Oh,
You
so
watched
many
a lot,
things.
A lot. You've watched a lot.
Just plowing through Christmas films, you know how it is. Today I actually went to see Elf in the cinema since the first time when I was a kid and I went to see it in the cinema.
Nice.
That was a little date day. We saw a film that we're going to talk about on next week's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just tell you all now, we watched Wonder Woman 84.
We did. We got it early in the UK.
We did. So check it out next week. We've got some news about that as well.
We went to the cinema and watched that. Obviously,
we went to the cinema.
We were somewhat distanced, and we had our masks on and all that, didn't we? And followed all of our COVID rules in our cinema, and we went and watched.
It was nice to be back in the big screen.
It was, definitely. Find out next week about what we thought about Wonder Woman 1984.
I've finished my full rewatch of Community. I finished Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh my god!
Last weekend, but
you've done it.
I finally did it.
You finally finished it.
I was like, right, okay. I've just got to admit that it's come to an end. We've got the Bad Batch coming soon, so I was like, right, okay. I'll finish it. I'll do it. I'll finally rip off that Band-Aid.
Just for me, Chris, what was your opinion of the final season in, like, one sentence?
Let me take you through my emotional journey. Okay, so with, like, the last 4 episodes, because it's all about the last 4 episodes, let's face it.
It is all about the last 4 episodes.
So, the first one, where Ahsoka gets a squadron of clone troopers and goes to find Darth Maul on Mandalore, I was like, oh damn.
Spoilers. Are we getting into spoilers?
It's nearly a year old.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just in
case. Damn. Oh, damn. The episode after that. Holy shit! This is amazing. Like, this is the best we've ever seen of Clone Wars. Thank you very much. The episode after that, I was like, oh. Taking it down a notch, but we got and then the last episode, just sad. Just very sad. And then I was not expecting it to end like that. I was not expecting it.
What an ending.
Like, we got Vader in Clone Wars? What? That was the only thing that wasn't like majorly spoiled for me, was like the fact that we actually get a bit of Vader at the end, and Vader finds Ahsoka's lightsaber.
It's a beautiful ending, really. It's a
was
really beautiful ending.
Oh, it was so cinematic as well. Like after they crash the ship and stuff like that, it was just a beautiful cinematic.
Very much so.
Finale. And very somber as well. Very like slow and somber. But
Yeah, definitely. It kind of it's different, isn't it? It's not how you expect it to end. So
Yeah.
maybe we do a little retrospect on that with the boys.
Maybe we do.
Maybe that's a
We
good
do.
idea. Have you?
that was the original idea to get him on board, because we thought we would have had him on the podcast before the Mandalorian ended.
Yeah, we thought we would have had him on for the Mandalorian, but here we are.
Yeah, that's pretty much it that I'm going to really talk about watching.
Cool.
Yeah, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? What have
you been watching?
Well, I've been watching a little bit of The Man in the High Castle on Amazon.
Oh,
You know what? Very good. Very, very, very good. Like I don't know what I was expecting, because I hadn't. It was one of the first original Amazon Prime things, wasn't it? Man in the High Castle. So I never really like. It was before I had things like Amazon Prime, because I think it's quite old now, the first season. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. It surprised me that it's. Do you know anything about it before I go into it?
Yeah, no, I know like the brief synopsis. Like,
Yeah.
I've picked up the book a few times because it's also by the same writer as the original Blade Runner.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, it takes place in like 20 years after the Second World War, but it's based in a reality where Germany won the Second World War and took over the States, and it kind of follows the States and how that's kind of split between Japan and Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, because I'm a big buff into all World War II stuff anyway. But it's a super interesting concept, and they go as far out as like putting Hitler in it, which is just like,
oh, I didn't realize Hitler was actually in it.
yeah, it's like as ballsy as anything. But the actual production value on it is so awesome for like season 1. So I'm on season 2 now. So I'm just kind of putting that on in the background. It's also got what's God, I can't remember the actor's name. It comes up on the X-ray thing on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And it was a Japanese actor that we had spoke about.
Oh, the guy from Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah, he was in it. He's he's the Crown Prince, so he's like the Prince of Japan.
Do a quick IMDb search.
Yeah, IMDb.
This has been on my watch list since I got Amazon Prime, which was pretty early on in Amazon Prime's life. I just haven't got round to it yet. Like, Amazon Prime is normally something that, unless it's like a massive, massive show that, like The Boys, I don't tend to use it that often. It's normally if I can't find something on Netflix, I'll go to Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Like, I watched Vikings on there, I watched Preacher on there, but there's not been that many originals other than The Boys that I've really checked out.
No, it's just I'd highly recommend it, because you've got like just really interesting parallel universe level stuff. You've got like Japanese Gestapo, which is just their equivalent of the Gestapo, which is pretty nuts. And obviously the guy who's in Ghost of Tsushima, like, he just appears in it because he's not got that gritty look about him. It's like you're kind of looking at him and thinking, hang on, why do I recognize
you?
It's got.
I recognize you with less polygons.
So it's got Hiro Kanagawa, who you would recognize, and I'm trying to remember. I'm sure the other guy that I'm thinking of was in. Is he in Parasite? I can't find him, unfortunately. But I definitely recognise the name. I'll chat with you afterwards about it.
Okay.
And also, other than that, I watched The Banker on Apple TV Plus. This is the first thing.
Which one was that?
The first thing I've watched on Apple TV Plus. It's got Samuel L. Jackson and Falcon.
Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie's in there. Both of
I
those
don't
two.
remember that one.
Basically, Anthony Mackie's a mathematical genius and he knows property in and out. Samuel L. Jackson is like an entrepreneur type. Yeah, it's and it's a bit about how they kind of. It's based in obviously racist 50s 60s America,
Okay.
and they basically start a bit of like a property empire. But they front it with they don't front it themselves. But it's really good. It's the first thing that I've watched on Apple TV. It's also got Nicholas Hoult in it, who becomes kind of the front for their business. So you've got Nicholas Hoult, and then you've got Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson, like kind of behind the scenes on it. But
I've heard really good things about the Apple TV Plus stuff. I just haven't got round to checking any of it out, but they pump so much money into it because obviously it's Apple. They got all the money in the world, but they've got like amazing actors in everything. So we'll actually talk about an Apple TV movie later on.
Yeah, like I said, I was really surprised. Like it was one of those things where I was a bit skeptical because I haven't really watched much on there, but I've heard good things about the stuff that is on there. So I think I'll definitely dive in a little bit more and enjoy a little bit more of the Apple TV stuff. But that's it. That's all I've been watching this week. So shall we jump into some news stories, mate?
Take it away.
So my first news story is this.
We are the gold standard. You're back here in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing.
So, if you don't know what that is, that's Tom Cruise going absolutely apeshit at crew members from Mission Impossible on set.
Yep.
So, yeah, Mr. Cruise, whose name, Chris, I didn't realise, was actually Thomas Cruise Mapotha the Fourth.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was a fact I didn't know. Anyway, is lost his temper at the crew for breaching COVID regulations, because he's been pumping a lot of his own money into it. He's been like paying insurance companies and like sorting a lot of that stuff out himself.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of people liken this to the Christian Bale freakout that we got from Terminator Salvation years ago.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think this is like completely different. Like that was just like somebody being a dick and thinking he was better than everyone and like kicking off. Whereas this, like, you can kind of understand why he's saying it. Like, how many times have we recorded news where it's like, oh, this production shut down because of COVID again. This is shut down because of COVID and that sort of stuff. Like. And he has got a vested interest in this franchise, and like you said, he's now pumping even more money in than he already was. Because, like, I think for the past 2 films, he's paid for his own insurance on the film so that he could get away with all these mad stunts that he wants to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of get him. Like, if a director had done this, nobody probably would have batted an eye, but because it was Tom Cruise doing it, like, everyone's there, like, oh, fucking hell, fucking look at him fucking kicking off and all this. But, I mean, yeah, like, if you are breaking guidelines and you're putting everybody's health and the film's production at jeopardy, like, fair enough. What do you think about it?
I agree with you, to be honest with you. I think that, especially when he's so personally invested into the franchise, and particularly this movie himself, where he's had to, like you say, fund a lot of his own insurance for his own stunts, but he's probably had to fund a lot of the stuff because of COVID. He goes on to talk about like how he's been on the phone to insurance companies, like, all night and stuff like that, and you know, it's fair play. I mean, nobody likes hearing a public figure like that talk to people like that, but you're only seeing one side of it if you're obviously thinking that he's in the wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's not just him kicking off at like one individual person either. Like, I think the fact that like he's shouting and screaming like that, I think he's more trying to just address everybody, and like he is like obviously annoyed about the situation and stuff like that, but it's not like he's screaming in one person's face or anything like that. Like, he's telling the entire crew, basically telling them where they stand.
Yeah,
essentially.
you're hearing it, not seeing it, and that's important to remember. You don't know what's actually going on. My next story is a bit of a sad one. It happened really not long after we recorded the last episode, but we lost Boba Fett actor Jeremy Bulloch at the age of 75, which is sad.
Incredibly sad. I also thought it was a little bit spooky timing as well. Like, the character has finally been brought back, and he probably just had a chance to see the character be brought back, and then he passed away.
Yeah,
which
I agree.
Is kind of strange.
Yeah, incredibly spooky timing.
Incredibly sad as well. Like, we've lost so many from the original trilogy now.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Baker,
David Prowse,
Carrie Fisher, Chewbacca, names leaving me. Help me out.
Peter Mayhew.
I couldn't remember his first name. There we go.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
It's sad. Yeah, it's sad. I remember seeing a photo actually that was like a really respectfully edited photo, which kind of shows them like in like kind of Force ghostiness and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah. I saw that.
But yeah, no, it's sad. It's sad. But yeah, it's good to see the character back in action on The Mandalorian. And speaking of The Mandalorian, there is going to be a special debut on Disney Plus on Christmas Day to show the behind the scenes of the making of season 2, which is quite interesting because if you've watched the Disney Gallery
it's season
stuff,
2. Yeah, I was about to say, is it Gallery season 2?
Yeah, well, it's going to be an hour long, so I believe what they're doing is this is going to be a making of season 2 for Disney Gallery. So this whole thing is dedicated to it. So that's what I'm led to believe anyway. I might be wrong, but yeah, an hour special.
I did see something about Gallery for season 2, but I just assumed it was going to be another like mini series like the last one.
Yeah, so it'll be a nice watch on Christmas Day, I reckon.
Yeah,
I don't know whether I'll convince the missus to watch it on Christmas Day.
I definitely won't. That would be like a Boxing Day after everyone's asleep and drunk.
Yeah, you're just sneakily watching it on your phone on the couch or whatever.
Nah, everybody will be passed out drunk, so I'll have it on the big screen. Just have it quiet enough that it doesn't wake people up.
And last little few bits and bobs to really chat about before we move on to the trailers that we've both watched this week is there's been some early reviews now from the US, UK for Monster Hunter. It already got a little bit of backfire because of the joke that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago that kind of really pissed off the Chinese audiences.
Yeah.
But it has been from IndieWire, so IndieWire have done a review and called it virtually unwatchable.
Oof. I've got one here from IGN. Monster Hunter has a listless, meandering plot devoid of a central focus or any meaningful world building. In the end, we have a dull-looking film that just pays lip service to its underlying source material. 3 out of 10.
Ouch. Well, it's better than the review they gave Cyberpunk, I think. I don't know.
Oof.
While we're talking about Cyberpunk, I know the Get Real Boys are going to be talking all about that, but wow, what an interesting turn of events for Cyberpunk, eh?
Oh man, that was something. That was. We've had our own thoughts about this, but
woo! I mean, we have been one of the ones to refund it, but that is only because we're gonna go rebuy it on PC because
like. Our situation, like, we're playing it on first generation Xbox Ones, like, our systems cannot handle it. Like,
absolutely not.
Like, I've seen glowing reviews from people who have got decent PCs that'll play it. Like, so it's a good game if you have the appropriate. It's like watching, like Christopher Nolan says, don't watch his films on a smartphone. Which, yeah, like it's not made to be played on that system. Like, it's the same sort of thing. Like, I'm playing it on something that just won't run it.
Yeah.
So like that's our problem. So we're both getting better PCs next year instead of MacBooks. Yeah. So we'll be able to play it and like we will rebuy it by then, patches will fix the bugs and stuff like that. So
Yeah, fingers
but
crossed.
check out the Get Real Gaming podcast for more news about that.
Absolutely. And what I played of it, it was awesome. It was just like there was just points where it was just taking me out of the immersion of the story, and I was like, you know what? I'm not in a rush to play this all the way through. I thought, well, you know what? If it means if I hang on, I can have a better experience of it and play it through again, I'm gonna go ahead and wait and then do that. Yeah. Right, that's
last
it.
bit of news.
He's got a bit of news sneaking in there.
I did get a bit of news.
Jeez.
I did. I think I had something else. I'm just trying to find it. No, I think that was actually just a meme. Just everybody's joking that everybody is in Spider-Man 3. I saw a funny one just there, like the guy that shouts "Pizza time" is back. No,
Chris,
James
I've
Gunn.
heard you're reprising your role as yourself in Spider-Man 3. Is
I
that
am.
right?
I'm reprising my role from Spider-Man 3, 12-year-old me seeing that in the cinema. I'm reprising that role to be 25-year-old me seeing this in the cinema. No, so James Gunn has announced some cast for the Peacekeeper TV series. I don't remember what the thing is. So we've got, and I'm going off at Instagram handles here. We've got Chukwudi Uwuji, might be butchering that. I apologize. He will be playing Clemson Morn. We've got Annie Chang. She will be playing Sophie Song.
Okay.
We have Christopher Haynard, who will be playing Captain Locke. And then finally, we have Lachlan Monroe, who will be playing Larry Fitzgibbon.
A lot of these characters straight over my head because Peacekeeper's
I've never
one
heard
of
of any of these.
Yeah, it's one of those niche comic arcs, I guess, isn't it?
Definitely, but these actors you will recognise from some of them. Like, I know Christopher was in Riverdale and stuff like that recently. He's been in loads of films and loads of teen stuff in the 80s and stuff like that. They are actors you'll know from different TV series and stuff if you look into it. I think I had another piece of news, but I might be missing it in amongst all the memes that I've got saved on my phone. Oh, the troubles of being a meme lord.
Oh dear. Trailers?
Trailers.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm doing the trailers.
Off you pop with the trailers.
Shit. Okay, first trailer. We were talking about Apple TV Plus, and so I will talk about Apple TV Plus here with the new upcoming film starring Justin Timberlake called Palmer. I believe you've seen the trailer for this as well.
Yeah, very good. Like, looks awesome. I'm actually quite excited for this after, I was that impressed by The Banker on Apple TV that I'm actually pretty open for actively checking stuff out. I might actually let that subscription continue rather than cancelling it next year.
Very good. They seem to be taking very small personal stories. That's what they seem to be leaning more towards, like the one with Chris Evans in where his son's accused of murder and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But this one, anyway, Palmer focuses around Justin Timberlake's character is an ex-con who has left prison and now is moving back in with his mother, trying to make amends in life and getting a small job, just trying to get himself back into society. And one of the neighboring families, the mother moves out and leaves just a kid basically on its own, and him and his mother take in the kid, and he sort of starts to overcome some maybe prejudices that he has himself and stuff like that, and becomes a father figure for this what we can assume is gender fluid child. And it's sort of him and this almost backwater town coming to terms with this child and with ex-con basically adopting a child and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So looked very good, looked very heartwarming, and yet judging by some of the stuff in the trailer, I guess it might not have the happiest third act.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, definitely I will be checking that out. I don't know if Amazon are trying to push this out.
Apple,
not Amazon, sorry. wrong too many streaming services to remember now. I don't know if Apple are going to like try and put this in one cinema for a week or something to put it up for an award or something. We're not sure yet. I'll also quickly find the release date. Palmer movie release date. It is scheduled for the end of January, 29th of January in the US apparently.
Which isn't really that long away now, to be fair.
No. So it's like, what, just barely over a month away.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally... Go on.
I was just saying, like, this looks like a really interesting role for Justin Timberlake to be jumping into, to be fair. It looks...
Do you know what? I think he is a really good actor. I think sometimes he takes, like, the quick, easy film, like, you know, like all these comedies and stuff that he's in and stuff. But most of the time, when he picks a good role, he is really good in it. Mm-hmm. Like, even, like, Inside Llewyn Davis, he's great in, and loads of different, like, small things. Obviously, like, the Troll films aren't aimed towards us, but he's, like, a big, like, pusher for those films, and he's a cool voice actor and stuff, but he's done loads of films I'm struggling to remember, but yeah, he is good when he gets a good role, so very good. It's nice to see him lead in one for the first time in a while. And then secondly, we have a trailer for Nobody, which I was really surprised by how good this looked. Like, I thought it might just be like a bit of like a throwaway joke movie, but so this is Bob Odenkirk. Everybody knows him as Saul from the Breaking Bad universe. Mm-hmm. He is basically playing a version of John Wick. Yeah. And I think they even referenced that in the poster, you know, the poster for John Wick 2, I think it was. Yeah. Where it's John Wick in the middle and everyone's like pointing guns and knives around him and stuff. It's like that, only a load of fists.
Yeah.
He plays an ex-auditor who is basically like the cleanup crew, like assassin type character who's left all that behind. He started a family and everything like that, but then his past comes back to haunt him. Yeah. I was not expecting this at all.
Yeah, it looks... I was really surprised by this as well. Like, it looks pretty fun. Looks like a really fun watch. I don't think it's going to break any barriers down. I don't think it's going to be like the next... I don't think it's going to be the next John Wick. But Bob Odenkirk is an awesome actor. I really like him in everything that he's in. So
I think the reason it's gaining so much traction is because it's Bob Odenkirk. Like, it's a real, like, heel turn for him. Mm-hmm. Like, you just don't expect him to play this role. He always plays sort of like the sleazy lawyer type or, like, the down-on-his-luck dad or something like that, doesn't he? Like, this is the guy sort of like, yeah, he's the dad character, but he's got his shit in order, like, he knows what he's doing type thing, and he's punching and kicking and shooting guns like he's an ex-assassin. Seems proper weird. Christopher Lloyd is playing his dad in it, and did you notice who was playing his wife?
I didn't. It was a bit ago I watched it.
It was Connie Nielsen who plays Hippolyta from Wonder Woman's mother.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's where I recognised her from.
Yeah. Straight away I was like, is that Connie? Is that Connie Nielsen? Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, February 26th in the US, I believe, and it's saying UK release date is March 5th.
Cool.
So a week later. Yeah.
Well, we've got that to look forward to.
Also, one more bit of news. I'll say it here because it kind of... Wonder Woman is getting a digital release in the UK as well now. That's coming out on the 13th or 16th of January. Let me just double check that date. 13th of January, yeah. And that's going to be coming through Sky at the moment, so I'm not sure what online services we'll get it through. Maybe Now TV, because they normally have Sky
cool.
products. But that's for the UK fans. If you don't want to risk going to the cinema at the moment, you will be able to catch it at home just a couple of weeks after everybody else.
Sweet.
I'll say that now so that people know ahead of time. They don't need to wait an extra week until we're talking about Wonder Woman. And I'm not going to spoil what I'm going to say next episode, but you might want to rent this film.
Okay, very good. Shall we talk about Mandalorian?
I think we should talk about the Mandalorian.
Shall we recap the season so far.
Yes.
We've spoke about it a lot at detail, right? But let's just summarize everything before. So let's talk about it as a whole, right? Rather than talking about each episode, because we've already done that.
Yeah.
If you've been listening to the podcast, we've been talking about The Mandalorian every week. But what have you thought about season 2 up until the finale?
So much better than season 1. Like, I really liked season 1, but it felt a bit small, and I think they were kind of playing it safe with the first season, whereas this season they have just gone balls to the wall with everything. It's not just small corridors and everything. They've gone out and shot on location as well. Everything is bigger and better. The story was a lot more engaging, and it had more stakes, I feel, than season 1, because after he sort of saves Grogu at like the episode 3 mark of season 1, like there weren't massive stakes, it didn't feel like, until all of a sudden Moff Gideon appeared in the final episode. Like it was sort of like one and done episodes a little bit in season 1, whereas this was obviously a constant narrative throughout. I thought it worked amazingly, and I really need season 3 right now.
Yeah.
I think they literally just took every opportunity they could to do everything they wanted in season 2. Like, the writer's room just gave them the keys to the palace type thing.
Yeah, defo.
And they were just there like, right, which characters do we love? What characters do we like from the legends that isn't canon anymore that we want to reintroduce? Which characters have we made that we want to bring back in like a really cool way and introduce them to a new mainstream audience and stuff like that? So I literally think season 2 was pretty damn flawless.
Yeah, I agree, and the reviews definitely agree. Like, when you look at the IMDb reviews for season 2, which we spoke about a lot when we've watched the episodes, for example, the one with Ahsoka being introduced in live action was given a 9.5. The one where Boba Fett gets his armor back, 9.3. The Marshal, 9 out of 10. The latest episode, Chris, the finale, has already had the most IMDb reviews out of the entire season.
Wow.
To give you an idea, it's had 9,000 more reviews than the one with Ahsoka in it, which is just nuts. And it's given it a 9.9 out of 10.
Oh my god. Right, well, I've got a review here from IGN. They gave it a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, is what they called it. Yeah. Season 2 finale brings Star Wars past and future together in a rousing finale, and I'm not going to say what they say because that's a little bit spoilers, but it paves the way for season 3.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how I'm going to reword that for now.
So, like, to reflect on what you said a little bit about season 1 versus season 2, I agree. Like, they definitely gave them much more free reign in the second season to kind of say, right, okay, you can bring in these characters, let's really kind of start to tie the universe together with all the other the animated properties and stuff like that, set that all up for no doubt what was going to be the Rangers of the New Republic, all the new TV shows that we've had from the
gateway pilots for everything.
Yeah, that's it. The Ahsoka one and all that kind of business, all that sort of being set up. But I agree, like, when you compare it versus season 1 felt like a lot of, like, let's introduce the new characters and let's focus on the new characters. You introduce Din Djarin, you introduce Cara Dune, you've got Baby Yoda, Grogu being introduced into it, you introduce Moff Gideon, you start to build these like smaller stories to just kind of get you to know the characters. And then, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but this could have been a bad thing, depending if you hadn't known about season 2 of The Mandalorian, right? If you'd never seen an episode of The Mandalorian as a Star Wars fan, and then you hear about the first ever live action TV show, and you hear them introduce all these different characters, like, you're talking Cobb Vanth, you're talking Bo-Katan, you're talking Ahsoka Tano, Boba Fett, and more, you would be like, oh, whoa. You know what I mean? You'd be almost a bit like, that's that's a lot. Obviously, Lucasfilm deliver this incredibly well. Like, for what could have been an absolute just fan service to no end, almost probably a little bit much, potentially taking a lot of risks in reintroducing these characters back, and also bringing these characters from the animated series to live action. You had a lot of risks because people are precious about these characters, but they've just delivered it so well. I mean, obviously we're spoiling all of the Mandalorian season 2, but we're not spoiling the finale yet. We'll let you know before we talk about the finale. But how they deliver Bo-Katan is awesome. How they delivered Ahsoka Tano was awesome. The tease for Boba was from episode 1, when you had Cobb Vanth with his armor, and then you get him kind of a return to form for Boba, doing more in 2 minutes than what he did in the space of 2 films. Just awesome. Like absolutely. Just and just keep your thought in your head there. But I was chatting to my friend in work who had watched
the illustrious friend in work that we always hear about.
That is a massive Star Wars fan as well.
Is your friend from work just Roose Luma? Is that who that is?
Oh, I didn't want to bloody spoil it. It's only a year into the podcast. I didn't want to
We're unraveling the mysteries.
Anyway, yeah, my best friend Roose Luma, who's now known as... He doesn't even listen to the podcast, so it doesn't even matter. But... I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, we were talking about how, you know, all like there is going to be a lot of Star Wars TV, like, and it's obviously doing the Marvel thing, but I think a lot of Star Wars fans are incredibly excited, but also slightly nervous about burnout and not want. And last time we had burnout, we had Solo, right? But and we don't have to talk about how fans reacted to that at all. We know that. But even if all the new TV seasons are at least the same quality as what we got in The Mandalorian season 1, then I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be a Star Wars fan.
Definitely. I think you put that really well. Like, I was worried after the investor meeting of burnout and oversaturation, but that is like spread out over like the next 2 years. So like that made me feel okay. Maybe we'll have to wait like a year and a half to 2 years, maybe between seasons, because there's that many different shows. And I think comparing it to Solo was a good thing. Like, that was like every year we were going to the cinema and we were getting a different Star Wars film now. After like the rest of like history, like we've had to go like 4 or 5 years, like 3 to 5 years for a new Star Wars film or something like that. And then Disney got the keys and like it was pumping it out like 1 year after another, and they were wavering in quality. That I think is where burnout comes from. Whereas with this, with all these different series, you can pick and choose what you watch. It's not like essential viewing for you to go to the cinema every time. Like, you do have the opportunity to just be there like, I don't really fancy watching like the High Republic series that they've announced or something like that. If somebody's like, that's like too deep lore, too deep canon, it's got no ties to anything else that I know, so I'm just going to leave that one out. Like, it gives you that opportunity, whereas when we were getting a new film every year, it was essential viewing to stay up to date with Star Wars, and like that's where burnout came from.
And to be clear, we're only excitingly apprehensive about all these shows only because we want them to all be really good.
Yeah, definitely. And it has the potential to be like, we've seen the quality of what they can do now, and I think season 2 did a great job of playing like giving us what we want and bringing back like legends and canon and stuff like that. Diving deep into the lore, but still letting this new story be told without it being overshadowed by Ahsoka and Boba and stuff like that, and Bo-Katan. Like, they were supporting characters in this narrative. So if they carry on with this healthy balance of like bring back the stuff that we love, but in a new way, and we don't let it interrupt with new narratives, then I think that'll keep the burnout at bay.
I think after this season, which has obviously been incredibly good and some of the best Star Wars that we've probably had, if you would, if you told me about the Cassian Andor series 3 years ago before me watching this, I would have probably have been like, I'm not very excited about that at all. Mm-hmm. But after seeing this, and obviously we've seen bits of the concept art and stuff, and just what Star Wars can do with TV. And let's remember, this is TV. This isn't a film. This isn't some kind of limited series. This is a TV show. TV show.
Streaming service show.
You compare this to Arrow or The Flash. You know what I mean? It's like you compare it with any other TV show, and it's just so good. And also,
like you'd be comparing this to like a HBO series or something. Like Game of Thrones is like what you should be putting this up next to it, and like, let's be honest, it sticks to the landing a lot.
It does, yeah, it does, and it does an incredibly good job of getting me so excited for Andor. Looking now that Andor's going to have 12 episodes in season 1, which is awesome. And then, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series being a limited series, which is obviously going to have quite, you tend to find with your limited series stuff is it is a bit like watching a 6-hour-long film. And just seeing what they can do, especially in the finale, it's just like, I have to stop thinking about Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be a thing, because I'm just getting so impatient for it.
What I'm hoping for as well is I hope they keep Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni in mind with all these new series going forward as well, even if it's just like a consultation role or like on the writers board or a producer or something, like, because they've proven that they can nail the landing. They've proven that they can pay lip service to legends, but also keep it like a self-contained story and not go into too far. Like, they've proven time and time again that these two are like the guys to go for with it. We are getting amazing voices coming into it. Like, we've got Taika Waititi coming into the franchise, we've got Patty Jenkins coming into the franchise and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that, like, with all these series, like, they're learning as they go, and I hope like we're not going to get a Solo and we're going to get a Mandalorian season 1, season 2. Yeah, and let's face it, anything that Jon Favreau touches tends to turn to gold. Like Elf, like Iron Man. Like, yeah, like let's like not like breeze over that. He started the MCU. If it wasn't for Jon Favreau, we wouldn't have got Endgame.
Well,
so like,
wow. He
gets slept on by so many people. Yeah. Like, when people talk about the best directors and stuff like that, who has got a legacy like Jon Favreau for the MCU? Like, in terms of success rates.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Shall we talk about the finale?
Are we even ready to talk about this finale?
I don't think listeners are ready to hear about our thoughts on this finale, because in fact, you know what, our thoughts are the same as what your thoughts have been, to be pretty honest with you. Like, if you even gave this the 9.8 out of 10, then you're exactly where we are. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, it's just so good. Like, what a way to wrap it up. And just like, also it wraps it up into like a nice little package as well, where it kind of tops it off for where we're up to without going into too much spoiler.
Big spoilers now, right, guys?
Oh, wow,
we can't talk about the finale really without spoiling anything, because
but we're also we're not going to start at the end of the finale and then work our way backwards, right? Let's not fall into that trap, because when we go into spoilers, we normally drop the biggest spoiler of the whole thing. Yeah. So let's not go from the end to the beginning.
But literally, like, the episode's amazing. That's all we're gonna say. If you haven't watched it, like, go watch it now. Do yourself the favor of not spoiling anything for yourself.
Literally go in blind, and I mean, if you've not already watched it and you're choosing to listen to this podcast about it, you're probably not that bothered. But do yourself a favor and treat yourself to it before you listen to the rest of the pod. And now we're gonna go and talk about what happens in the actual finale. I really want to talk about that intro bit. It's just straight in. It's just straight in with.
Let's just jump right into it.
The where you get Slave One again in space chasing after an Imperial shuttle. I was just like, wow, we're set up for a good episode right now. And seeing Slave One like a bit like how it is in Attack of the Clones vibes. But it
was menacing as well, like the way it loomed over the front of the shuttle, and it felt like is it the Tanton 4 at the beginning of A New Hope when they're being boarded and stuff like that, and like you can hear stuff going on around outside and stuff, and you're like, shit. And it reminded me a bit of I lost my trail of thought then. Exactly what you said. But the conversation that you have with the shuttle pilot when he gets Pershing, he gets Dr. Pershing, and he has that conversation with Cara Dune. It touches upon one of the really controversial aspects of Star Wars in the original trilogy of the trope of how many innocents died on the Death Star when they got blown up, which was a really interesting thing for them to introduce again in The Mandalorian to get people thinking about it. Well, we've seen it a lot this season of seeing like the point of view of like the everyday innocent stormtrooper who is just like trying to stay alive in the galaxy under the rule of the Empire and stuff like that. And like, not every planet was left in smoke and ashes during the Empire's reign. Like, some of them were just like, they were like military states, but they, for all intents and purposes, they were protected. Crime was down and stuff like that. Like, so some people were just innocents that just went on board with it because they were the leading force in the world. But then like this episode, we hear that again, and like I sort of like stopped to think. I was like, oh wow, they are really humanizing him. And then like he takes like a bit of a heel turn just there, and he basically reverses that, and he's like, yeah, well, blowing up Alderaan was just like necessary, wasn't it? And it's like,
yeah.
Woo! And we finally got an explanation of what that face tattoo was that Cara Dune had as well. Like, it was the teardrop in the rebel symbol for basically everyone that survived Alderaan.
So where do we go after that? So it's literally straight into game plan mode and then straight onto...
Well, we go get Bo-Katan back as well.
Oh,
who still has the gauntlet from Clone Wars as well.
Yeah, and to just talk about this scene, this was just such a good Boba scene.
Yeah.
Such a good Boba scene. And this is like Tamora really flexing that new personality that Boba's got, which a lot of people are a bit like, why is he so aggro? But, I mean, if you were a guy who was a bounty hunter and then you got ate by a Sarlacc for a bit and then you had to deal with all the stuff he's probably dealt with, you probably would be a bit grouchy.
But also, like, listen to what they're saying to each other as well. Like, they finally addressed the fact that, like, Bo-Katan knows what a clone trooper sounds like, and he does have to deal with the fact, like, he does struggle with the fact that he is a clone. Although he was, like, a bit more natural, he was being able to be raised by Jango, like, he was still, like, a clone of his, and she instantly just points that out, and it's basically like a slap in the face for him. The fact that they just reference, like, she was like, I've heard your voice 1,000 times, is like, yep, he was a clone, and they did turn on everybody that she cared about.
Yeah.
That was a bit harsh. And the fact that, like, they sort of discredit him, just, like, calling him a disgrace straight away, like, I think he has a right to be a bit aggro.
Oh, yeah, defo.
Also, that move that Sasha Banks' character does, you know, where she, like, wraps her legs around and flips him over and stuff like that's one of her special moves when she's wrestling.
Yeah, one of her signature moves.
Yeah. The finisher.
This at this point now, it felt like the episode moved so fast.
Oh,
and when
yeah.
yeah, like to talk about that, like when they start when they hatch that plan, right, of getting onto Gideon's ship, and then they get there. I'm looking at the time and I'm like, there's still like 30 minutes to go or something like that for the episode.
Yeah, it was a longer episode as well. It was 47 minutes in total, including credits. But it felt like it didn't feel like a longer episode because it moved at like such a breakneck pace.
Yeah, literally. It was so fast. Yeah, it moved really fast. Yeah, it really slowed down at the end.
Yeah, it slowed down, but I think we all just sort of carried that momentum, and there was like, granted, like the action was slower, but the news and the tidbits and the emotional story beats and stuff were just like, they were up there, and it helped the momentum. Like, it was like an emotional momentum instead of like a physical momentum.
Yeah. So to obviously those that haven't seen, it's not a spoiler. I know while we were talking about Boba Fett then, it's worth mentioning, while we're in spoilers anyway, that it gets me really excited for that Boba Fett spin-off that gets announced in the post-credits for this.
They left that out of the investor meeting, didn't they?
They left that out, didn't they? But you can kind of see why. And it's a bit... I mean, I don't know where the timeline kind of like went between Jeremy Bulloch passing and the investor meeting. I'm pretty certain it was after the investor meeting.
Yeah.
But it's almost a bit like I say, it's almost like a bit of a weird coincidence of how it lines up, where that's the one thing that they hold until the end of the episode, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Like, just a bit peculiar time into it all.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like a Boba series was talked about before even a Mandalorian series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like a long time ago, we heard about this, and like it kind of like got like almost silently cancelled. Like it got just like delayed, and they're like, "Oh, we're working on it in the background and stuff like that."
Yeah.
And then it just went silent, and then we had Boba reappear in this, and everybody sort of forgot about the fact that he was ever meant to have his own series. But I'm so glad, especially if Ming-Na Wen's character's like gonna stay in it as well, and it's like a bounty hunter like team up between the two.
Yeah, it'd be cool to
I'm
see
super
like
excited.
just literally Boba Fett-esque villains from like comic series and stuff would be cool.
Yeah, and like bring back like some of the bounty hunters that we know he's engaged with into like the live actions as well.
Bro,
Like we
what?
talked about it last week as a joke, didn't we? But
What if he met up with like Bosk again?
yeah, Dengar, fucking bring in Cad Bane and stuff like that into live action.
Yeah, it'd be so good. Plus, he
Bring
just
back
looks.
IG-88 and stuff.
Plus, Din Djarin looks awesome. The Mandalorian looks awesome. But the Boba Fett armor just looks so good now. Like, I think the black robes really kind of complement it now with this new look, and just this kind of like I was saying to Bruce Loomer in work that he kind of leans into that is it Maori
Yeah, Mallory, yeah.
Maori bouncer kind of stereotype a little bit, with like how he kind of composes himself a bit now as Boba Fett. He kind of like leans into that.
We spoke about that with like that for like that episode where he comes back and we see him fighting and everything like that. Like his fighting style leans more into that. Like his attitude, like even the facial expressions that he was pulling was like classic sort of like Polynesian and Maori like fighting styles and stuff like that.
Yeah. I heard he could be appearing in either the Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series, or he could be appearing in the Ahsoka Tano series as either himself or potentially a clone. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I could imagine maybe like a Commander Cody in the Obi-Wan series, and then maybe like a Rex or something in the Ahsoka series.
Yeah. De-age him.
I haven't finished Rebels yet, so I don't know which of the clones make it out of Rebels.
I can't really remember either, to be honest with you. So you've got that as a surprise, because I can't tell you.
But like, you've got like the relationship between like Ahsoka and the clone troopers and stuff like that, and we see that again in Rebels. So if the Ahsoka series is taking place where we think it is, like during the Mandalorian's time period where she's hunting down Thrawn and stuff like that, maybe like following on, whoever makes it out of Rebels could team up.
Mm-hmm. You've still got all that to find out. It's so weird.
And it would give him more time without the helmet, because I don't imagine Boba Fett's going to take his helmet off much.
No, probably not.
Because he basically like came from what went on to like become the Death Watch and stuff, didn't he? So like they were all like hardcore Mandalorians, weren't they?
Yeah. Let's move it on a bit. So let's, you get them fighting on the ship and all that. That's all pretty cool action stuff. Then you get the Dark Troopers deployed. Wow.
Terminator 2 style, pry open that fucking door.
It's interesting because you're seeing the droids in here, which you tend to just see. You don't really see powerful droids in the movies really like that. You tend to see them in like video games. And it kind of reminded me of like, the elites you'd normally face in video games, where it's like, oh, right, you're going to have to do this, or you've got to take them out in like a particular way.
Yeah,
a bit like this Imperial security droids in Fallen Order. It's like kind of had that vibe about it. And yeah, just the bit where it's slamming that Mandalorian helmet into the wall, just
yeah,
powerful.
I was watching, I was like, his helmet's not going to cave in, like, and then it just starts digging into the wall. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, brutal stuff.
The way it looked when he, like, burnt it with the flamethrower, and the flames were just coming up through it, and it was not phased in the slightest. So I was like, that is some mega Terminator fucking demonic vibes there.
Yeah, literally. And
so good.
I liked how the Beskar spear was set up, like, as the they say, oh, it's pure Beskar, and then it's then they mention that, oh, the only thing the Darksaber you can put up against the Darksaber is pure Beskar, and it's like, I wonder why, and kind of links it all up together. But
so, do you want to talk about that first confrontation with Moff Gideon then?
Yeah, I like how he faked out. Because I thought for a second, we were going to get that again, that weird kind of, the Empire, you can kind of reason with them. And I was a bit like, that's a bit odd. And then he obviously goes full bad guy then and tries to take out Din.
Yeah, I think like Din showed his hand too quickly by being like, I don't give a fuck about the Darksaber. And I think that's what, like, Moff Gideon sort of like switched, and then in his head it was like, he really just wants the kid, and I'm kind of done with the kid now. Like, and then as soon as he turned his back, he was like, I can attack him and I can either kill him and the kid, or if I fail and he takes the Darksaber, then I've fucked over Bo-Katan either way. Like he said, like, just assume that I know everything already. Like, he's so smart that, like, he could have in that moment been there just like, it's a win-win for me either way. Like, I still win over somebody in the end of this, and I'll be able to escape because the Dark Troopers are going to come back because they just got sucked into outer space. You're not getting rid of them that easy.
Yeah, he's like one step ahead in his thinking, isn't he?
Yeah. That fight scene was so cool. And did you notice as well, like, we saw when Ahsoka fought against I can't remember how they called her, but the woman who was in charge of the town during Ahsoka's episode. Yeah. I can't remember what they called her in the village. But when she fought with the lightsabers, like, the Beskar spear or anything didn't, like, react to it. Like, it was fine. It just held it off like another lightsaber. But when he was fighting against the Darksaber, because it's like a proper blade, isn't it? And it's like, it's meant to be more powerful and everything like that. When he held it against it, it started to, like, superheat the metal and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it showed that, like, it was stronger than, like, a lightsaber, which was pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
Ooh.
And then we
talk about when they get to the bridge.
The bridge happens. That's a thing. And then something else happens at the bridge, Chris, doesn't it?
Oh, no, nothing else happens. I think the rest of the episode was kind of boring after that. Nothing else happened. We can just move on.
All right, yeah, thanks for listening. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. No, there's the whole thing, by the way, first, before we get on to that thing that we're alluding to, where it has that whole fake out with the Darksaber thing, where it's like you're going to have to fight Din to get the Darksaber because you beat me. And I thought, I'm not going to lie, that bit felt a bit shoehorned in. And it was a bit like, what? It was a bit like Giancarlo was like, right, let me just remind you all about that thing from the Clone Wars and Rebels. And it's like, yeah, okay, great. But I get it. It was cool that they linked it in. And it was a cool fake out when it didn't happen. But I was a bit like, all right, yeah, story time.
I think that was the biggest setup for season 3.
Defo. Yeah, I agree.
So let's talk about this now. Like, yeah, they are bringing it back from Clone Wars, but in Rebels, like, Sabine just finds it and gives it to Bo-Katan, and that's how Bo-Katan, like, gets it and gets back Mandalore in Rebels, isn't it? So in between Rebels and now, she has lost that Darksaber to Gideon. And we're going to guess it's probably through some sort of combat or something, like she's been outsmarted by him, and she's ended up losing it. So, like, before that, like, she just took the Darksaber off Sabine, and she really didn't, like, sort of, like, care about the rule of you need to win it in combat type thing. But I think the fact that she was bested by Gideon, now she's not just willing to accept it back, like, when Jim was like, right, okay, we're fighting, I yield, take it. Like, I think she now has, like, realised that it is the narrative behind it, and it is the power that the story and the power that the jewel brings. Like, she needs to earn it back. Like, she wanted the fight with Gideon, or she wanted to outsmart Gideon herself to get it back. But when Jin just came in with it, then she was like, for fuck's sake, like, I've not earned this, so I can't take it off you in any way. I can't even, like, fake the fight and let you. So I reckon season 3 is going to be a conflict between him and Bo almost. In all intents and purposes now, like, Din Djarin is the ruler of Mandalore, and it leaves the conflict for season 3 now to between those two, and either resolving that or Jin, like, being the pseudo ruler of Mandalore while Bo-Katan's sort of like doing something, or is that going to spiral out into like a new war for Mandalore?
Maybe that's where we go to. Maybe because there was all this thing about how, oh yeah, Mandalore was destroyed, and then it's like, no, it's not destroyed. So maybe that's where it takes us next, because he's not got anything else to be doing, has he? So
no,
he's probably going to
Mandalore like isn't the actual homeworld of the Mandalorians, really, is it? Like, that was like the secondary one.
Yeah.
So like Bo-Katan, I think, said in an earlier episode that Mandalore is the people, really. It
might then, maybe season 3 will delve into more of like him and Death Watch, and maybe he'll like try and explore that now a little bit and find out, wait, hang on, you said about Death Watch, and what does that mean? Because you didn't really have the chance to kind of explore that because you were moving at such a fast speed for where the Mandalorian was going.
Yeah, because that is like the biggest thing that like season 2 set up and changed so much was like, you've got Death Watch, which Bo-Katan used to be part of, and she created the Night Owls because she didn't agree with Death Watch. Like, they were sort of like zealots, and like this season has been about Jin like figuring out what's important to him and like which laws of the Mandalore to follow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now we've got him like willing to just take his helmet off in front of anybody now. Like, he's like given up on that oath, but he still considers himself a Mandalorian. So which side of the fence is he going to fall on now? Like, the Death Watch that raised him since he was younger and who he has a duty to like helping their foundlings and stuff, or is he going to try and rebuild a unified Mandalore with the Night Owls and the Mandalorian people?
So do you want to talk about that bit?
Oh, that moment. Oh, you mean when just one random X-Wing comes to save the day, and we're all like, one X-Wing? Hold on a minute, one X-Wing?
Did you know Did you know straight away when you saw that X-Wing?
I was in denial for so long. Like, I was messaging Richard about this, and I was like, one X-Wing. I was like, wait, one X-Wing. And I was like, this is either going to be like some sort of fake out, or it's like Dave Filoni's characters come back or something.
Well,
and
yeah.
there's going to be more ships come. And then when we see a Jedi, and I was like, there's no way Ahsoka's got her hands on an X-Wing. And then when it only had one lightsaber, I was like, okay. And then I see green lightsaber, I was like, okay, but no, it can't be. No. And then you see like one gloved hand, and I was like, no, it's not. And then like you see the lightsaber hilt, and I was like, they've actually done it. They actually went there. And then like that moment when like the hood comes down, I was like, ah!
Jeez, what an absolute ballsy move to do.
Like,
it was Luke.
It was
everyone.
a journey.
It was Luke. He appeared. He was there. He answered the call that Grogu put out.
Right. We said, like, when we were talking about that episode, we were like, Luke is out there, but they're not gonna, like, I don't think anybody seriously believed that Luke was going to be the one to answer the call. Like I think most of us thought that Ahsoka, Ezra, or what was his name from Fallen Order? Cal Kestis. Like, we thought those three were more likely than a fully CGI de-aged Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to see one of the most powerful Jedi. I was really like thinking to myself, I'll be like, oh, it'd be really cool to introduce Cal. I was like, put him in something, because they alluded to him finding younger Jedi. It was after Order 66. He could be a bit older now. Wouldn't it be a cool tie-in? Because he could kind of be the Jedi for the Mandalorian without having to worry about Ahsoka. But you know what? Like, considering I thought Luke was going to be such an extreme move, and I thought if they're going to do it, people are really going to be divided if they put Luke in. Wow. I just
could not believe it. And also, we got to see peak Luke that we have not seen on screen. We got to see Luke absolutely shredding. Like, this was peak Luke, like, and it echoed the Darth Vader fight scene from the end of Rogue One so much as well. Like, even when like the first shot of them, like as the elevator doors open and he stood there in like the fog, it was fantastic just to see him able to go absolutely ham on all these droids.
Yeah, he was super powerful, like, so powerful. Like, not only like with how he was using the lightsaber, but how he was using like the Force, how he crushed that droid.
Yeah, we see him willing to like do like that. Like, that was normally like a dark side thing, but he never really knew that was like a dark side thing, because they weren't taught like, oh, only Jedis use these powers, only Sith use these powers. Like, he's like, this is how I can achieve my goal, and this is how I can do the right thing in the end. Also, it's only a droid. Like, so he's just there like, yeah, I'm going to crush this bitch. Yeah, I'm going to toss this one across the room, slice them all in half and stuff. Like, it was such like an echo of his father from the end of Rogue One.
Yeah, so sick. And it's interesting that they used Luke, because now this opens up a can of worms for, oh, well, Grogu's now going to be with Luke, which means that was Grogu at the temple that's in the sequel trilogy where he trains Kylo, and like,
was he there when the temple was set on fire and his younglings were killed? I think maybe by then Grogu might have left.
So an interesting theory I heard on the Blue Harvest podcast, which I've kept in my mind for now because I wanted to get your opinion on it as well. So an interesting take on this is that Grogu, obviously with how his species ages, by the time that Luke's kind of like an older man, the Grogu will probably be at the point where he's like a young Yoda, like, you know, kind of in his prime years then.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting, because I wonder if they would kind of be working in tandem in terms of that Jedi temple. So like Grogu would become like the new Yoda figure, but a bit younger.
I've heard the same thing, and I thought about a similar thing, like, because like we said, like his species age on like an S curve, don't they? And we thought like all this like being so hungry and eating a lot and stuff was sort of like he was getting ready for a big growth spurt, so we assume like mental maturity as well then.
But the theory that I heard was that when it comes to Luke, you know, how he suspects of Kylo, that maybe it could be like he would have had to have reason to be suspecting of him, right? Which kind of comes out a little bit out of nowhere, I guess, because of how the sequel trilogy tries to explain how it happened. But the actual thing, the theory is what if Grogu was the one who sensed it in Kylo and then told Luke and was like,
possibly,
yo, I'm out of here because he's fallen. And then maybe that then triggers Luke to go and do, and then the action, you know, the whatever happens then in the sequel trilogy. But yeah, it was an interesting little theory. If you were to tie it in now, because you could tie something like that in.
Yeah,
Whether
I've seen plenty of jokes online, just like they'll inevitably make a fourth part to the Skywalker saga, and it'll be following Sky. It'll be following Rey later on. And you'll see Grogu at the head of the New Republic Jedi Order or something.
Yeah. Or what if Grogu was one of the fallen Jedi with Kylo?
Oh my god, he was one of the Knights of Ren.
He was just
super tall.
He was on stilts the whole time.
Why couldn't we see it? It was a Marvel crossover. He was Stiltman all along.
Oh, how could we have not seen it coming? Anyway, I think that kind of wraps us up for The Mandalorian. Yeah.
What would you give the final episode out of 10?
I'd give it well, hang on. I can't give it a rating without talking about the Luke recreation.
The CGI, right?
Yeah, now again, as we said right at the beginning of this, I do want to stress this is a TV show. This is not the film. So when you look at things like Tarkin, and you look at things like the young Leia, and you look at things like Luke in The Rise of Skywalker, where you see him for a second, you look at all that, and then you watch this, and you may rightfully be like, it looks a little bit odd. It looks a bit like a deep fake. Probably, yeah, because it's on a TV budget rather than a film budget. But you know what? You've got to remember that is Mark Hamill that they've actually used. They've de-aged Mark Hamill. And you had an amazing comparison in our group chat between, was it Kurt Russell?
Jeff Bridges from Tron Legacy 10 years ago.
Yeah, an amazing comparison. But yeah, I did think he looked weird, but you know what? Because of everything going on in the moment, when you look at still images, it looks flawless. When you watch it in person, it looks a little bit... I didn't hear the audio glitches that Richard said he heard, but I did like see things that looked a little bit odd, like when his face tilted down.
The thing that they struggle with is the mouth. They still can't figure out the muscles around the mouth when people speak, and that's the only bit that I saw was sort of like a bit with the top lip and like the chin a little bit. But they were so like blink and you'll miss it that you can't discredit like how amazing that looked. Like I sent you a screenshot of just like, I think it was like somebody officially had tweeted it out, like from a 4K stream of it. Like it looked phenomenal. Like a still image, it looked like you just took a photo of Mark Hamill in the 80s.
Yeah, literally. That image,
it's just like bits around the mouth, and like you said, like compared to Tarkin, he was so much better than Tarkin. Like Tarkin was good, but he was mostly hidden in shadow.
When I said that, I was suggesting that perhaps Tarkin was a little bit better in like the
don't think so, because the mouth was worse.
I don't think like it was better and worse in different ways. I think as like kind of a visual of watching the movements and stuff, I think Tarkin's movements was better in like generally with the head in the face. But I think if you was to pause Luke in at particular points, he looks spot on. I think that they're both good in their own respects, and
Well,
to be honest with you, it
I
didn't
was gonna
take me
say-
too far out of what I was watching, and that's the important thing. The important thing is that I was more invested in what was going on in the story with that moment between the dehelmeted Din and Grogu. And seeing Pedro Pascal really stretch his acting chops by not
we
saying
didn't even
anything
talk
at all.
about that.
No.
Was I the only one crying at that?
No, it was heavy. It was heavy, man. And like the thing that's important is when that episode finished, and then I sent you guys that video clip of me being like, no spoilers, because I put it on a video because I thought I don't want to type anything in case everyone thinks it's a spoiler. They could choose not to play it in the group chat. And I like literally at the end of it, like I know I was joking, but I like literally choked up a bit because I was like, that was just so intense. Yeah. And you know what? I sit here now and I kind of say maybe it could have been better, but that's me being like, that's me putting my I'm a hypercritic hat on and being like, I'm talking about this because I'm reviewing it. But as a Star Wars fan, when I watched that was literally perfection. R2-D2 coming in was just perfection. It was, you know what? It's what everybody wanted from the sequel trilogy. They heard you. And this was their opportunity to say, look, we've heard you. We know Luke wasn't everything you wanted him to be in the sequel trilogy. Here he is.
Yeah.
Boom.
Literally, like, we got the peak performance, Luke. Like, it was, like, not 100%, but, like, it was better than some versions of de-aging that we've had. It wasn't quite as good as other versions, like you said. Like, I think... like, you can see the difference. Like, the scene from Rise of Skywalker where we had the de-aged version. The de-aged version of Luke in the helmet looked pretty damn good, but then the de-aged version of Leia looked like a PlayStation 2 graphic. And that was in the same scene in the same film, whereas this just, like... I think the biggest problem for people is the fact that we know what he looks like now, so you've got in your head that it can't be real, and I think that makes it look less real for people. But he can't overshadow the like you said, the emotional arc of that final scene was like Jin taking his helmet off in front of everybody, and you finally got like that moment, which again echoed Luke and his father from the end of Return of the Jedi, where he wants to look on him with his own eyes, like for the only time essentially. So this is the first time that he has ever had his helmet off, not looking through like the thermal optics or anything like that inside his helmet, looking on Grogu, and it's the first time Grogu's ever seen his face. It's like the last thing he'll remember is he leaves is seeing Din Djarin's face for the first time and seeing like this new father figure for him.
Yeah. And
that makes the parting so much more like heartbreaking, like knowing that like it's for the best reasons, but it's going to be a while before he sees that face ever again.
Yeah, and like I say, what a way to kind of wrap it up and put a nice little neat bow on the top of the, not just season 2, but season 1 as well as a whole. Like these two seasons is like one journey.
Yeah, it kind of like resets the Mandalorian for season 3.
Yeah, which is probably the best thing they could have possibly done with it.
Yeah, I think it'll do him the world of good for like them not having to worry about the kid for an entire season. Like Din Djarin will be able to go and do other big stories without constantly having to worry about Grogu. And then maybe in season 4 or season 5, once, because we know they're going up to like at least a season 5, we know that like when he returns, it'll be so much stronger. It'll be a more impactful character. Like Grogu won't be passive anymore. He'll be an active character, and Jim will have grown along as well. So it might do him good to like have a season with maybe those two not interacting all that much.
Shall we talk about the post-credits scene for a sec then?
Yes, we talked about it briefly, but Boba be back, baby.
Bib Fortuna. Did you know who was playing Bib Fortuna?
No, I didn't know who was playing.
Our man Matthew Wood.
Matthews Woods?
Yeah, Grievous's voice. That was Matthew Wood.
Nice. Playing
Bib Fortuna. Which was interesting.
I did not realise.
Yeah. Did you hear all the references? The McClunky.
I heard the McClunky.
Yeah.
People are thinking that that's now a new swear word in the Star Wars universe. People think that's like a swear word.
Yeah, he was like, weak way, McClunky.
Yeah, we also had one of the dancers that Boba Fett was flirting with in Return of the Jedi was in there as well.
Yes, that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, like, that was so cool that he's gone back there to, like, take his seat on the throne. It's just there, like, I've got my armor back now. I am who I'm meant to be. I'm taking this universe by storm now. Like,
Yeah.
I've been through enough shit. I've been through a Sarlacc pit and back. Like,
yeah, I like how Bib Fortuna had a few too many space pies and put the...
He's living that Jabba the Hutt lifestyle now, isn't he?
Yeah. So cool.
The thing is, though, if he like got super fat, then he would look like Jabba the Hutt, but with a human's body attached to it because of that tail that he's got.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Be like, imagine like Boba Fett with like a little tiny like humanoid body hanging under the bottom of it.
We have spoke about our thoughts for the Boba Fett sequel, the Boba Fett TV series. Sorry, but what a good little nod and a little bit of an after credits thing. A lot of people probably and a lot of people probably would have switched off. I mean, they might have wondered why there was no concept art at the end, but
well, that's what clues me up. I was like, why is there no concept art? And I was like, why is there now 7 minutes of credits?
Yeah.
I was like, you normally get barely get 7 minutes if it's like Avengers Endgame. And I was like, So I just sort of like hovered my mouse over like the bar and I saw Jabba's palace. I was like, there's a fucking poster.
Well, thankfully I was already tipped off to wait through the credits. I was like, okay, cool, I'll make sure I don't miss it. So thankfully I wouldn't have switched off. But yeah,
no, Chris missed it in our group chat. He was like, oh yeah, I've seen like the end. I was like, did you see the end? And he was like, is there something after the credits? I was like, go back and watch it right
bro,
now.
you need to go back. Right, awesome. I think that wraps us up, right?
I think that does wrap us up.
I think it wraps us up into a nice little
also, guys,
tidy bow.
Merry Christmas. Because the next episode you're going to get will be after Christmas. So, Merry Christmas. If you've listened this far, thank you so much. Have a great year. Hope you get everything you wanted for Christmas. Also, don't forget to send love to everybody that you can't be with this year.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas from me too. And we'll catch you next week when we chat all about Wonder Woman 1984. But to leave you off, make sure you check us out: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at GetRealPod. And also you can drop us an email, getrealpoduk@gmail.com if you'd like to.
You can drop us an email. Don't use our email to sign up to shit.
Yeah, and please don't do that now that Chris has planted the seed.
My phone's blowing up more from these spammy emails than anything else at the moment.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. I'm laughing, but I hate it. Anyway, right. Chris, how can people support us as well?
Best way to support the podcast is to leave us a rate and review on whatever platform you listen to us on. Head over to Podchaser if you want to leave us a rate and review on there because it'll syndicate it to all the other podcast distributors. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify. If you want, just put us on loop on Spotify at 3 times speed. That would be great. Thanks. Whenever we share out an Instagram post, don't forget to share it with a friend. Share this podcast. You know what? As a little gift to one of your mates this Christmas, just send him a link to the podcast. That could be a birthday present. Christmas present. Maybe your birthday's on Christmas Day.
Could be a Merry New Year present. In which case,
I feel sorry for you. Yeah, Merry New Year. Coming to America's 2's coming out soon. Don't forget to check out the Get Real Gaming Boys over on their podcast as well. They'll be talking everything about the controversy with Cyberpunk this week. I don't know if they're doing anything Christmassy themed other than that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys just before the new year.
See you later.
1 year anniversary.
1 whole year.
We've done a year.
Bye for now.